time. All right, we're on. How are you all doing? G Wispy, Travis, great to have you back. I hope everyone's been doing well. Shahab. Hello, Mr. Shahab. Or Mrs. Shahab, I cannot tell with your avatar. Juanita, great to have you. Sasha, welcome. Oh, Pokey, can you draw bear? Are we talking about the animal or that show? Either way, probably not today. You never know. You never know. Lovely. How long have we been on Pinterest? The stream's only started like less than a minute ago, so about that long. Fernando from Brazil. What's going on, my friend? All right, so today I want to dive a bit deeper into stuff. I want to push my imaginative stuff, for lack of a better word. So the warm-ups, they're going to include I'm thinking let's just kick off something. I'm thinking warm-ups, I'm going to try and draw skulls, right, from different angles. We're going to use Happy Pixel. What's going on Twitch? Again, I'm on Twitch as well now. We're streaming all over the place. Super. Welcome back, my friend. Great to have you. Alpha, you too. Sundays with Ben has commenced. Love it. So, I'm thinking if we get a couple of references of some skulls, right? Because it's faces. Everyone loves drawing faces. It's probably the first thing that you want to learn how to draw. It's the most fun. I love it. So I'm thinking we get a couple of skulls, maybe just front, side view, maybe a back view, and then we start going one after the other, after the other, after the other in the imagination world to really upskill in that way of thinking. I'm thinking that's the plan for the warm-up. So let's go bone clones. Bone clone's not a bad one. Clone. Alright, so we're looking for a site. I don't even know if they do a back view. Do they do a back view? We'll see. It's Monday with Ben. There you go. Thank you. I feel seen with the time zone difference. I appreciate you, Super. Please save whatever Pinterest reference you use to one of your Pinterest boards. Good call. Good call. Artistic fan of that plan. Awesome. Awesome. A pokey. Oh, I've never drawn a back view skull. Bokaholic. How you doing? Happy Pixel taking notes. Bloody love it. Fish's fins. Welcome. Slowly getting some people cruising into the stream. All right, so we got a nice little side view. Beautiful. We whip them over there. Back view doesn't give us much of a back view. I mean, this could be kind of helpful. I mean, what even is that? It looks like a bloody crab or something. It's pretty nuts. Like I've seen a real like human, like a real, not like a cast, but like a real human skull, but it all like not dissected. It was like all dried out. Like it's not like all the skin and shit on it, but it's like but like exploded view. It looks like all this sort of like all that's going on in here. It's like a crab. It's crazy. Anyway, back view of a skull. I mean, this is technically a back view, but it's like laying on a table, so it kind of doesn't help us. But we can maybe try and piece some things together. All right. And I mean, if you just cropped in with that and you didn't know what that is, you'd be like, what's going on here? All right, so maybe I'll whip them in a little bit of the old this place. Can we pop that there? No, you're going to be an asshole, aren't you? Control Z, control, no. Let's get this guy. Load, throw him into PureF. Opening images, thank you. Side view, thank you. I would like a more of a 3/4, if I'm honest, if we're doing Study Town. But we work with what we've got. Let's, I might try and get a 3/4 view first off. And then, and a good back view from maybe Google Images or something. All right, so we got front, side. Yeah, we'll get this crab verge. I don't know how helpful that's going to be, but you never know. Skull. Back. View. Come on. I mean, you get some 3D. I mean, that's quite nice. That's kind of helpful. What about this one? Wikimedia. I mean, it's a 3D model, but it kind of does the job. What about this one? Yeah, that's nice with the neck and everything. Let's try and do them in context as well, because I think there's a lot to be said about... what happened there? There's a lot to be said about doing these studies in context instead of in isolation. So we got like a bit of the back 3/4. Nice. Oh, hello, lovely. Let's save this to stream reference. What's this? Oh, I've got skeleton in it. Look at me. I forgot I even had that one. That one here. This is lovely. Some nice... I love the skull. There's something about it. This is great as well. This is great. Oh, and then skeleton anatomy. I'm pretty sure that is not private. Edit board. Hey Leah, great to have you back. SF, good to see you too, my friend. Thank you for popping in. Loving your stream running on the side. Amazing work as always. Appreciate you. Happy Pixel. Can I recommend you a website for refs? Go for it. Recommend away. No, it's not secret, and here is the link. There you go. These are good ones. I like this. There's a free 3D model in ArtStation. That could a poke. Good call. Let's try it. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do with the images, because I think that's a good... so it's not just like hand-fed to us. It's not just like, all right, we want it in that exact pose. Let's draw it in that exact pose, and then we can start to play around with the proportions. Right? I do want to do a bit of color as well today. We'll see. We'll see. This is going to be a little mixed bag, lucky dip of a stream. Let's go images, arrange it optimally. Let's see what you do. So this week, it's been a coding extravaganza. I've got, I think I mentioned last week, drag and drop with the sidebar with all the lessons and stuff. Absolute bloody nightmare, if I'm honest. But it's working smooth as silk now. You can, I'm talking about Drea here. The course platform that me and my good friend Francis Lee are building. It's just, it's like as good as this drag and drop. It's like, it's beautiful. And I've also got Discord integration, which is a bloody great time. So if you create a course, you can set up, if you've got like private, you can do a private category or a private channel. You can connect that to a particular course so that when people enroll, they can join that particular, they can get access via a role in Discord to that particular private channel. So you don't have to manually like add people and blah, 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 blah. I learned a lot from that process. I can't wait to be like showing you guys like in real time that stuff. But anyway, let's get going. We're drawing skulls here. We're not talking about coding. Let me check that out a little bit later. Happy Pixel. Thanks for the recommendation. Artistic Haber. All right, let's get something on the screen and then I'll start chatting. All right. So I'm going to start with the profile. I like a good bit of a profile view. All right, I'm going referencing this one up here. Okay. So what are we looking at? Simple shapes first. All right. Now I've got the YouTube video that's like maybe 70% done is all about this. All about the skull and how I like to break it down. And there's kind of a bit of not a danger, right? But something to consider if and when you are, let's say, when you're looking at like time lapses or watching people draw that aren't in teaching mode. Because I could whip one of these guys out. I can just go boom, 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 and then you got like a skull. But what I'm thinking about is completely different than like the order of what I just laid down, right? There's stuff that you don't see. So I'm going to try and talk my way through it, which is good practice for me anyway. So I kind of like to think about these things as like 1, 2, 3 kind of different sections, right? So you got this like the cranium of the skull, right? Then you got the jaw part, which is kind of 4 parts, let's say. Then I think about this thing as like a cylinder, right? Which is like your upper jaw. But then you got this part, which can be pretty tricky. But if I like to simplify it down, almost into like a scuba goggle kind of thought, right? So there's one. So I don't know why this is kicked off as like a lesson. Wasn't thinking about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the 4 kind of separate shapes that I'm thinking about. Let's lighten up the background. It's a little bit dreary for a bit of sketching. Let's. Hello. All right. Cool. No. Undo. Let's get on the same page here. All right. Cool. Right, and in breaking these down, okay, breaking these shapes down, we can then use these ideas or these, I guess you could call them heuristics, or is that more of a verbal thing? Shorthand, rule of thumb, and then you could start cutting into them. And I'm doing this stylized as well. I'm not going bang on 1-to-1 with the reference by any stretch of the imagination, right? DeadX8, quick question. Are your sketch notes still available with your course? Secret time. Technically, that was only meant to be for the first like month of the course launch about 1.5 years ago. But they should still come with that. I don't think I've actually taken them out. So yeah, they should. Hey Ben, I know I've been watching you for a while, but are you earning an income from this, or is it just from the tutorial you have so far? Pretty much just from the tutorial I have so far. That's like... That was the main influx of income. And then I decided to take a hard right turn into doing physical products with the sculpt and everything, which was amazing learning. And I want to do more of that for sure. But financially, just like a time wise, like it was amazing. Like they were sold out and it was beautiful and it was a quote unquote like success. Talking about like the plain Janes in particular. Like I don't have the system set up to make that viable yet. I need to set up my, let's call it like my sustainable income source first, then I can start expanding. I kind of like got my okay, cool, I put out my first product, let's go into a completely different niche for like a year and figure out how to do it all by myself, not outsourcing bugger all. It was fun though. It was really fun, and I'm gonna be releasing more because I've got everything set up and it's going to be part of the content. But I would have probably done things a little bit different, knowing what I know now. But you know what? Very glad I did it, and I'm going to continue to do it because sculpting is freaking fun, man. And doing like 3D models and putting those up for sale in small batch runs. Good fun. Bloody love it. JR, what's going on? Dead Apes, I've seen your course on a few platforms. Anyone you prefer I buy it from? I appreciate you asking that question. Honestly, completely up to you. The only two platforms it's on is, I mean, illegally, or like with my consent, is Proco and my Gumroad. The benefit with Proco is that you get an extra head turnaround, so you get the benefit from that. But Proco takes a cut, but I'm cool with that. Like whatever gets you, like if you feel like you want to have the head turnaround, like the extra 2-hour thing from the Proco version, go for it. Whatever gets you the most out of it. So yeah, and I think the link is in the thingy, the description for that one. If not, it's in my link tree on Instagram. Thank you, Happy Pixel. Ping Things Arts, what's going on? All right, back to the drawing. Got a little bit sidetracked. Nothing wrong with that though, except for if we're trying to do something. All right, so let's refine this a little bit more. So we had this like main cranium. It's not looking exactly how I want it, but that's fine. That's going to happen all the time. What are you going to do? You know, except for try and make it look better. All right, now I'm going to get a little bit more detailed with the structure, let's say. Figuring out, okay, what is this? What's in front of what? This whole thing here, forgive me because I forget the names, particularly when I'm on stream and I'm trying to draw the thing and then remember the name. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. Earlier, I've been scrolling through a lot of AI stuff today and was upset the whole day. So it's nice to watch you drawing now. You motivate and inspire me to draw. Thank you, Ailey. That's so kind of you. Zygomatic Arches, you bloody legend, super. Milkman, thank you. Yeah, there you go. I got chat. We've got chat. Given the real information here. I am but just a puppet for chat. But yeah, don't like, yeah, with that AI stuff, like, there's a lot of rage baiters out there. I haven't been paying too much attention to it, if I'm honest. So just know that if I was a professional rage baiter, oof, I'll be having a field day right now. It feels very similar to the when it first came out with the like the profile pictures. Everyone had the same AI photo profile pictures, and it was like a new novel thing. And then how many people still have those profile pictures, you know? Hi Ben, you inspired me to paint with the lasso tool. Sushil, fantastic. And I'm loving it. At the beginning, it was difficult to get those gradations, but I got the hang of it as I kept painting. Fantastic, right? That's awesome. And as you figure out like the gradations, this is going to carry over into like physical painting, like traditional painting, or even just painting in general, because you know that you don't have to rely on the smudge tool, you know. That's wicked. Welcome to the Lasso Club. Maybe that's a Discord channel that we make, and it's like only lasso tool, not filthy necessarily, but just lasso tool. Okay, cool, got this one. Now let's try the front. Let's not be so structured, maybe, because I always do this on stream, but in reality I'll just like sketch and I'll just try and find one here, you know. Like, let's find that cranium to begin with. The mandibles. Milkman, appreciate ya. How do you draw noses? I've been having a difficult time drawing them. Great question. Katie, what's going on? See you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. How do you draw noses? Yeah, good question. Maybe we get onto that a bit later on. All right, let's see if we can find this kind of scuba goggles, right, to begin with, that connects to the cranium, the big old nose hole right here, which we can see as like part of the scuba goggles, right? Then we got this top kind of cylinder, depending on how low the teeth are. My proper English goes freaking right out the window as soon as I hit go live. Alright, boom, 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 boom. So we're not being too careful with this. We're just being a little loosey-goosey. So once we've got these, let's say, like the larger structures in, then we can start carving them in. We're shaping stuff a little bit more carefully, I guess. We're just thinking about the actual shapes. The smaller shapes, let's say, the secondary shapes. Marlon, welcome. Great to have you. Happy Pixel, how long have you been in the art industry, and are you self-taught? In the art industry, there's no like date where I was like, yep, I'm in the art industry now. You know, I started posting maybe like 2 years ago on Instagram. So I guess that's when you could say that, yep, that's when it kind of started. So about 2 years ago, but I was always doing art just for fun. You know, it wasn't a part of my career or anything like that. And then kind of Instagram kicked off because I had a background in my background is in software development, and with that I learned a lot about marketing and business. I love business and all that sort of fun stuff, and then saw an opportunity there and sort of just went all in with the art stuff, and here we are. Welcome to the stream. Franklin, hello, Mr. Ben. Actually, it's 3 a.m. here, very late, so I woke up late for your stream. 3 a.m. Franklin, you woke up very early. That's what you did. Sugar Beads, what's going on? Arjun, how you doing? Good morning, Ben. Any update on the new course? It's in progress. It is definitely in progress, I can tell you that. All right, we got the front, we got the side. Now we go for the 3/4. How do we... Let's just whip it somewhere. Let's not be too precious with it. And that's one thing that drawing in the sketchbook with the pens, whether it be the fountain pens, the brush pens, the felt tip pens, being less precious about any of this stuff. Because I started off really precious with everything and I was like, oh, it's got to look good, blah, 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 blah. But after a while, you do that many shit drawings that you're just like, oh, fuck it. Let's just draw and let's just make this the training ground. Right? You do enough bad drawings in there that's like permanent and they're not going anywhere. You can't erase it. It's just like, oh, well, what's another bad one? And then you find out that, oh, look, I'm actually learning a lot more because I don't have this thing in the back of my head that's saying, oh, I've got to show someone this one day. You don't have to show anyone anything. Right? It's all... Many of those drawings that I've started to do in my sketchbook, because I never had a sketchbook before. Never kept a sketchbook until very recently. And a lot of those no one's ever going to see, which is great. Swear jar one. Oh, here we go. Yep. Elliot, it's 4 a.m. Elliot, get to sleep. Get to sleep. These are recorded. Chill. Sleep is very important. I got a small sketchbook today and coloured pencils. Very cool, sugar beets. All right, let's get this mandible. Look at us being all technical and stuff. The Mandy. Whipping out the Mandies. Then the centre line really helps with this stuff as well. Placing things. I sometimes also like to add the imaginary eyeballs. Imagine where they would actually sit in the sockets, because then that helps with... I mean, that looks creepy, but then you can imagine that, okay, you wouldn't see too much of the other side of the eye. Right, maybe this nose is here. So you can start to... Okay, that was a shitty nose. Hold on. Then you can start to see how a face could come out of that. This looks weird, but you get the idea. We're focusing on skulls right now. Don't judge. I'm glad you decided to share with the public. You are very charismatic. No, you too kind, Happy Pixel. Thank you. Could you check your mail, maybe? You did not see it. Hope it was alright, but I'm resending it now. Maybe after the stream or your free time, check it out again. Yeah, I'll check it out, Franklin. Sugar Beats, how's drums? Thank you for asking. Absolutely terrible, because I haven't practiced in a little while. But thank you for asking. The teeth here can be a bit tricky. Oh, excuse me. But I like to block them in, again, like that cylinder here. Imagining the teeth are part of this cylinder. Right? And then on top of that, then we can start to, if we wanted to, put the detail of the little teeth. He's got like a way big like overbite there, which is I kind of like. And this is where, because the shapes are simple, or simple enough, you can really start to play with the shapes, you know? All right, let's try that back 3/4. Not a very usual one, but it does help, because every now and then you got to draw a back 3/4. And I don't know about you, but I'm like, shit. All right, I've really got to think, because it's not the usual. I usually do these three. I ping back and forth between profile, front view, 3/4, And then at like different angles. So if we were to do like head tilted down a little bit more, right? This is just the 3/4 view, but we're looking down. And this is a fun little one because you got to figure out how much of each thing are we going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing more of the top of everything, basically. All right, again, these are just warm-up, so we're not going for full-on accuracy, full-on, I'm going to post this. This is a no posting zone. Why is my color thing over there? There we go. Reiki, how you doing? Good morning. Going to use today's morning stream to get some sketching done. Fantastic. Fernanda, as a digital artist, do you prefer pen displays or tablets? Honestly, I do like pen displays. Pen displays are quite nice. All right, let's try and find. Here I can see we can connect these two shapes together completely. And this is why I don't believe in like the one kind of size fits all for these simple shapes either. It really depends on the angle, the view, the positioning of whatever you're drawing, right? Because I could say what I was saying before, like, okay, you got the cranium, you've got the mandible, right? You've got like these simple shapes. You've got the upper jaw, which is a cylinder, like a kind of bulbous cylinder-y kind of thing with like the teeth and whatever. And then you've got the scuba goggles, which help, right? But we've got to figure out when and where to use them. They're all tools, okay? This is just, again, take this with a grain of salt. If this doesn't make any sense to you, throw it away, you know? Because, case in point, if I'm going to try and do this view, this like underhead view, how on earth am I going to, like, does this help me? Not particularly. I do have to rotate that in 3D space. That does help me. Right? Does this view of the cylinder help me? This is why, like, everything's like a little caveat. It's like, it depends. You know? Are we... What happens on stream stays on stream. Yes and no, because this is recorded. So no, not at all. But yes, I like that idea. Gloomy Boy catching a stream for the first time. It's 7:44 p.m. where I'm from. Gloomy, fantastic. First timer, great to have you. Okay, one important question. Have you seen any cool bugs, animals, birds, humans this week? Let me think. Some cool birds. There's these geese. Whenever I go for a walk up near a lake, they're like the bodyguards of... There's probably like 10 to 15 of them. Big white geese. They're like chunky boys as well. They're not like... You couldn't push them around. And they're very cool. Because they're just kind of like bodyguards. They don't take anything from anyone. They're just like walking around, keeping the ducks in order. Right? There was a duck fight going on the other day. Duck fight, like 2 ducks were going at it. Almost witnessed a duck murder, which was crazy. One duck grabbed another duck and tried to like dunk it under the water and just like keep it there. Then the freaking geese came in and was like, nah, I like to think of them kind of like as they've got like a English accent, like a British accent. If you've ever seen, what's the Tom Hardy? Give me the chat. Do your thing. Tom Hardy, twins, the Cray twins. They're absolutely nuts. One of my favourite movies, but I can't think of the name. No, not Venom. But just like 70s, 60s British gangster. That's what I think about these geese are. They're just like, all right, how we doing? Keeping everything in order? Yep. Bup. Anyway, I digress. So I've seen some geese and I've seen some ducks and I've seen some rosellas. Rosellas are cool. If you look up what a rosella is. Back to the back three-quarter. Legend. No, is it Legend? Yeah, Legend. Yes. One of my favourite movies. Lana, how you doing? Great to have you. Oh, Ben, you look very distressed 90s vibe today. Oh, thank you. Right now I can't see any colour. Put my phone in black and white mode. That's fantastic because there is no colour. Super. Pen displays are fantastic. Like it's kind of one of those things. It's like, oh, once I've recognised the feeling of a good pen display, I'm going to struggle to go back to anything else. And it does help with the traditional as well, because you just like bang like 1-to-1. All right, back three-quarter. Let's do back, just back, bang on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do not an animation, but like a like turn around, but like in different angles. This is what I like to do, just warming up, doing whatever, you know. Let's do, where we've got to find some room. All right, cranium. Boom. We're gonna square it off a little bit because it's not. A few things on the skull are perfectly round. So you got the bottom of that neck. The neck, I'd like to put the neck in there. You know, nothing wrong with that. Imagining the little whatever they're called, things, little neck things. We're very technical here on stream. Now let's think. Where is this connected? About here. That's about connected about here. That's got to come out. And we're going to see a little bit, potentially, probably, of that, this thing. Your brow going into the zygomatic. No, yeah, zygomatic something. Alright, then down to the jaw. How is the jaw? The jaw tucks in here somewhere. Alright. Imagining the 3D-ness of the skull. Like putting a little bit of a cheeky cross section in there. Got these little nodules. But these are good. They're like, you're sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know what to draw. You can literally make up words for the bones, and I'll be like, yep, sounds right. Yep, I do that all the time. Cool. All right, now let's challenge ourselves. Let's go. Let's start with a three-quarter. Three-quarter looking down on top of it. All right, not a bad idea to go get a little bit of the old center lines going, particularly when we're building this up from our imagination. Okay, this kind of curves out and around. Boom, boom. But just like if we were stacking shapes on top of one another, cube, okay, stack that cube behind this cube, behind this cube. All right, we've got to think like this. What's going on, Julia? Oh, the indigestion in this coffee, I tell you what. Oh, I'm way jittery. There's a pre-workout that I use. And it just hangs with me. Gloria. Ah, lovely to have you. The first and last time you're going to be chatting. How do I block? I'm praying for you, Gloria. Is that going to do anything? Boom. Fuck, some people, I tell you what. Maybe it's a question. Is that a bot, or did someone actually take the time to type that? Who knows? Poor Gloria. I know. Sounded horrible. Imagine she's like legit. She's like, I just need someone to hear me out. And I decided that this stream is where that's the right place for it, you know? Where were we? So, yeah, stacking shapes. I think it was, if I had to guess, pretty sure it was a troll, but you never know. You never know. All right, back to the skull, hey? So let's do the simplified scuba goggles. All right, not worried about the nose just yet. Juanita. The next character, this is Gloria's skull. This is Gloria. Shout out to Gloria. We'll miss you. So we're stacking, right? Just like we had here, the simplified cylinder of the upper jaw. How is that going to stack? You could accidentally, and I do this often, sort of put it out here, right? We think, okay, we want to show the skull, or we want to show the shapes that we're trying to represent. But in reality, that's going to put the, like on the side view, if we were to center line this out, right? Imagine nose here. That's going to put that upper jaw like way too out in front. You might want that though. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Imagine. Gloria. Oh no. Well, in that case, Gloria, if you behave yourself, my deepest condolences to you. Artistic, never mind. So what I'm trying to do here. Okay, Gloria, that's enough. Vera Wang. I mean, you got to be doing all right. Like there's silver linings. I mean, that's not a cheap bag. You got some taste there at least. So I'm trying to stack. Like imagine that we're like looking through X-ray mode. That upper jaw. Okay, this is what we want to think about, or what I'm thinking about, because we're looking down on top of this skull. So we're going to be seeing less of it, because this is something that I run into all the time. I want to show more, but it's not right a lot of the time. Gloria. Well, look, I wish you the best, honestly. So let's put in this nose, because that's going to give us a little bit of structure, right? Bit of structure, never hurt anyone. Do a little flip of the canvas. Now let's try and see if we can pop in this mandible, aka the jaw. All right, so where is this going to be? You might accidentally do it too far forward, might do it too far back, right? But a way that we can check where the mandible is going to be placed is understanding where it's placed in our profile view. So it's about there-ish. If we like, not exactly halfway. Nothing's going to be perfectly halfway or whatever. All right, Gloria. We got to stop this. Can we make a truce? Can we stop oversharing? That's all I'm asking. Julia, hi Ben, love your art. When drawing the figure, do you visualize everything in a box? No. Yeah, I think. Yeah, you're not wrong. Oh, you think so? You think so, Sugar Beats? Right. All right, mandible time. Find that center line-ish. Not going to be perfectly center line. All right, so it's going to be tucking in here somewhere. So that connection is going to be boom, right there. So then we can place that jaw, but boom, somewhere around there-ish. Not perfect, but not terrible, you know. All right, so we're looking on top. Still warm-up mode. So no stress. If it's not looking good, don't you dare stress. Don't even think about it. This is me talking to my younger stuff. Can't stop. Ah, Christ. All right, now we've got to think about this little horseshoe shape here, like up. We're not going to be seeing this full amount. See, this is what I'm talking about. I might want to just via like wanting to show that thing. That's got to be quite low, right? And we can check. We can always check. Let's have a look, like the bottom of the teeth, wrap that around. And if I've got that here, in reality, that's how low that hole would be. Gloria, don't even think about. Hi, artist Shashank. Great to have you. All right, so it's just little things like this to think about. So in reality, if we track this little thing here, it should be around about the nose, bottom of the nose. So we can wrap that around, and we barely see any of it. Which is kind of a shame, but we can just like peek it through. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. This skull study is so timely. I couldn't draw a head from the draw angle yesterday. Fantastic, Ryan. Good bit of skull study. Bloody, it's a good time. Cool. So we got this one. Let's add another. George, that is a cheeky little skull you got there. All right, let's clean up some of our thinking here. Right, this is a little bit square for my like this is a little bit like too square. There is a little bit of a like wrapping backwards, let's say. We can just make the adjustment. Something like that, you know. Okay, now challenge. Pick a skull position, specifically one that you think is going to be very tricky for you, and go for it. It's the only way you're going to get way better, way faster with this imaginative stuff. Okay, so let's try an upward 3/4. Okay, I could absolutely fail miserably with this, but if we take our time, imagine the center line here. So we got the jaw. That's like my landmark, let's say. My oil painting is not working, maybe because I took out only one color. Sugar beets. Think about what's his face? The oil painter Instagram does this. Can't remember his name. Kadima, Andrew Kadima, where he does just with one color, with one color. The color is not the issue. Juanita, love how you flipped to check proportions. I started to do that and it was a huge change. Yeah, it's great. It is very, very, very helpful. Unlike the top-down view, we're going to see it a lot more underside of everything. All right, so this is very tricky, and it's because we don't usually practice these tricky head angles. There could be an inkling or like an itch to like do the skull like on top more so here, but let's think about this. Whoa, but the stacking. All right, where is this skull actually going to be? It's going to be probably more sitting like that. Okay, the side of the head. And is that perfect placement? Not at all. But we can adjust. We just continue to adjust and adjust and adjust. We might not see bugger all of the eye socket either. Now this is where we can start to think of a box. I don't think of a box initially necessarily, but if we were to think about, like I know like a lot of people don't like to think about boxes. I think they can be helpful in certain scenarios. I quite like them. All right, so if we were trying to map whereabouts we'd see the eye, like the sockets, we probably wouldn't see too much of the sockets at all. So we try and find like a corner, right, and track that back in space. And we really wouldn't see much, would we? Might even be just like that. I'm kind of fudging it as well. Fudge away. Does not matter. In general, if you think something is challenging, try it. Yeah, George, buddy, bang on. And it comes back to what I was saying before. I was like, oh, I don't necessarily want to like show anyone this. Don't show anyone anything that you don't want to. This is learning time. Now this is tricky. This is like a brain teaser. All right, trying to find it. So we're doing this from imagination as well. Well, not kind of imagination-ish. We got some references, but we don't have any at this angle. So we're looking right up underneath here. Now let's think. how is this nose actually going to be? The nose on the profile view comes back here. If we block it in, that it's like as if it's not like a hole. If we just say, okay, center line coming up, maybe it reaches about there, comes back, and that's where the center line on the skull is going to be. See, maybe just not even anything on that side. This is a tricky angle. All right, bit of the jaw underneath there. We're seeing way more of that shape, the jaw hole. This angle is mine, but I know. I told Andrew that he should go. I appreciate it, Sugar Beats. He did a great collab with Slew. That was a good one. Right, and this is where you can come back with an eraser, if you do so choose, and then clean up some of our thinking. All right, whereabouts? It might even be worth having some of these next to you a little bit more. All right, so some of the old references that you've already done, to take a look at how to tackle some of these things. So it might actually come out like this, and then this dips back in, like just goes. Maybe not. Who knows? There's kind of like this connection here to the top of the jaw. That jaw's going to wrap around. You got the teeth, but the teeth are going to be in perspective, right? And that's the bottom of that nose. Right, and then this nose is going to block a whole lot of everything. Better. Right, got to x-ray through. So we've got this side of the nose, x-ray through, it'll sit there. It scoops backwards, so it scoops backwards and then reaches that point, so we're not going to see anything here. Sick. And this is where it's at. It's the struggle. It's the figuring out of stuff. And I think even the tooth cylinder can pop out even more, you know. That is a tough angle. Lygia, hi, been my first time. Everyone, welcome first timers. Great studies, thank you very much. Thanks for popping in. I decided to figure it out on Photoshop, or else my paper will be in pieces. Fair, fair enough. I think you'd see more of the eye socket. The brow portion would stick out on the male skull. You just fixed it. Yep. So that's the thing, like, and also for those that are like starting to stream and like share stuff live, there is that pressure of like, oh, it's got to look good, whatever I'm putting down, you know. You just got to have patience with yourself. Right. Boom, boom, boom. Now that might... Let's think about this. If we were to wrap this around and imagine it going through everything, you might see about that much of the underside of the skull. Cool. Now this is annoying. This needs to come back a little bit more. All right. No pressure, whatever you draw. I appreciate your own. Do you ever have days when you don't know where to start, like overwhelmed with too many options and resources? What do? Pick something, because that you can just like lose. You can just like lose hours on trying to think about it, and then by that time, then your motivation goes away. David, what's going on? Why? Okay. Interesting. Those that are looking to stream on Instagram, it cuts out after about an hour. Let's see if we can get it back. Yeah, bang on an hour, it cuts out. Interesting. Annoying. But good to know nonetheless. Can we get it back? No. Oh well, Instagram was good knowing you. Peter, why do you do? Because it's fun. As long as you're starting, because once you start, then you can start. Then it's an exploration. And it's like, all right, what am I feeling today? You know. Next, let's go a cheeky side view, but let's do some overlaps, right? I like to do this like, I call it like the gaggle of skulls. Because we're going back in space, it might be a little bit smaller. It might be cut off a little bit. And then we can maybe try and do some stylized skulls. All right, one's behind here. We're way pixelated here, but it doesn't matter. We're still getting the idea. All right, one behind. Here, maybe another. And this is where you can start maybe with the cranium. And you're just playing. Start with those simple shapes. Maybe even knock in these simple shapes to begin with. Just in like different angles, different areas. Alright, so we're going to do one here. And one here. And you just keep going. This is just like a really good little practice because it's a little bit further than just doing like cubes. You can start like rolling some cubes around in space. Like if I wanted to tilt that cube this way a little bit, then you can really like work on that. What does that look like? I mean, technically that's kind of what it would like fully turn. So maybe we do somewhere in between. So maybe, or like a rectangle halfway between like a, okay, that did the same thing. All right, so just playing, just whip them around. And once you start getting better at placing this stuff in space, you'll soon see that, okay, one will stand, or like a few of them will like stand out to you. And you'll be like, ah, what's wrong with that one? That's the odd one out, right? Marlon, start, we're in this together. I'm also painting. I feel accompanied here. That's fantastic. Bug stuff. I have that same problem because I don't match reference one-to-one. So I wonder if I'm forming bad habits. Just do a bit of this. You'll be fine. Do a bit of the forced imaginative study. Forced is a bit harsh, but you get what I'm saying. Maybe directed study is a little bit of a better. What's a better way than forced? Focused. Let's say focused imaginative studies. And then we could start like detaching stuff. So we can maybe, okay, the jaw, let's hinge it. Go that step further. All right, so imagine the zygomatic thingamajiggy here. All right, now we've got to hinge the jaw. So if we're going to do profile view, all right, instead of just straight here, we're going to hinge at this point. So we're going to take that back. We're not going to move it down. We're not going to move it anywhere other than the hinge. So it's going to swing back. All right. And that is going to stop us from doing the unexpected or the, what's the word, the unintentional bottom jaw that juts out way too much because you've got an open mouth. All right. If we actually track that from closed, like a closed mouth, maybe this jaw's a little bit further forward. We'll do a different color. So this is the hinged version. Right? This doesn't come out further just because it's down, or just because the mouth is open, let's say. So that's something to keep in mind. So we got the upper jaw stable, doesn't move. Right? This is the thing that moves. Here's the jaw closed, and there's the jaw open. That's not a very clear explanation. All right, so let's try some open jaw. Yeah, here. Now, open jaw looking down, tricky. So let's see if we can hinge. Let's say if we can hinge a cube to begin with. All right, good practice. If the jaw is too tricky, we've got our non-hinged cube. All right. Let's hinge it at this point. Different color. Knock it back. So we've got like a guide. What does that look like? So we've got to work kind of in arcs. So let's say we want to hinge down that much. So this top line is going to hinge, imagine like a string, just like drawing it there, and then boop. So that's going to be the top. All right. There. Now this is going to have to go back in space more. We're going to see a lot less of this face. So boom. Right, hinge that, and then you can keep going and going and go. You can like hinge it all the way around. That's a good little exercise. So now, that almost... Where's my Windows gone? Show me where my plugins are. Plugins panel. Filthy. Where are you? You're in one of these. Yeah. I've got bloody 4 monitors going. I always lose. Let's just do a quick reset of the... Yeah, if you ever lose stuff, good little trick. Reset essentials. Boom. Then it gets everything back. There we go. Alright, so we can almost place this there-ish. And we can imagine that the drawer is going to be somewhere. It'll be tucked right underneath. Right. But it is a cube, so it's not going to be perfect. So let's not do that. We've experimented with the hinge in the cube. Let's try and do the jaw, like a jaw shape hinge. Right. So if we come here, let's just do this the normal jaw shape to begin with. So we draw through the cube. Here, 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 here. All right, so we've got our... This is why it's so important to understand or practice at the very least your simplified shapes. All right, got the jaw. Now let's hinge. Always sketching, that's it. Brian, hey Ben, did you attend art school? I attended university for a year for industrial design. We could even, if we wanted to make this even more clear, let's do our hinged cube again. Right. But then we've got to fit that jaw shape in this hinged cube. And this is how you can start to like think in a way where you're like building on shapes. Now this looks a little bit what's the word? Messy would be a good word for it. Yeah. So we actually wouldn't see a whole lot of the jaw when it's like open. It'll be very, very foreshortened, particularly the teeth. And that comes back to, again, not wanting to always show everything. You got to think about some of these overlapping shapes, where they'll be hidden, where they won't be. Let's actually do this on the skull, so we're not just doing it in isolation. So maybe we draw the skull. Draw the head first. I'm trying to draw Ben's hat, but it's at a difficult angle. I'll hold still for you. Al Rome, what is this add-on you speak of? Oh, look at you. Marketing genius. It's actually called the Filthy Plugin. I quite like it because we built it so as that you can fill in shapes at will, whenever you want. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, I digress. Let's get this skull working. It's going to be about here if we're looking on top. Okay. Find the eyes. Or the sockets of the eyes, let's say. You're not going to find any eyes on this guy. Now, center line. Why am I doing it? I've got such a large canvas. Let's give myself a few extra pixels. would be nice. All right. Better. Ugh, freedom. Let's get the eyes feeling okay. Wrap around with the arch, the zygomatic arch. Thank you, chat. Top of the nose. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, now let's find this upper jaw. That cylinder. Again, stacking the shapes. Stack them. Like there's no tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Sugar Beats. Oh, there I go. I almost had a good one for a second. Hi, Tyler. Love your art. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much, Poncho. But Tyler's fantastic. I'd like to see Tyler's art. Appreciate you popping in, Poncho. Yeah, the caps, honestly, Lana. But I know, I'm just messing with you, Poncho. Caps are tricky. Caps are really tricky. Because it's like a very unintuitive shape. You see them all the time, but they can, yeah, they're a bit of one of those mind-bending things. Ben the pun master do a skull pun. Oh, I do not profess to be a pun master. I missed you. She did spice it up a little bit. Good old Gloria. Think got you and Tyler Edlin mixed up. Fair. Very fair enough. Fair enough. Yep. Ben Eblin, Tyler Edlin. Yep. Okay, let's get this center line. Ish. This head is too like bulbous on top, but also maybe not. That could just be the way this skull was born, and I'm being not fair, but it's got a little bit of a 5 head going. All right, bottom of the jaw. We're not going to see much of that bottom jaw. Again, stacking the shapes. Bottom jaw, stack them. Again, just like the other view that we did in the like top down, we're not going to see too much of this little jaw hole, but that's got to be our indicator for the hinge. All right. Too much of the skull. Get out of here. Here we go. Okay. So we got our base. Right, that skull. This cranium he's got a noggin on him. He won't hold still, I think, is the problem. All right, Lana, I'll give you 2 minutes of complete stillness. Yeah, Poncho Tyler's great. All right, Lana. Okay. So turns out I quite like moving about on stream. This is quite difficult. Oh, you got the still shot. Nice. Technology. Love it. All right, let's hinge this bad boy. So jaw, hinge. Now the intuition, let's say, could be, again, this is why I like the hinging that I did here. The intuition would be potentially to see more of the bottom jaw, or like bring this bottom jaw down like here. No. We might not even, honestly, if we're looking down on this way and the jaw's like that, we might not even see barely any of it. Right, it might hinge right the way down. This comes back. Now this is tricky. This is quite tricky. Hinge it so foreshortened, like really foreshortened, but it gives the illusion that the mouth is open, right? Too much of that. So we're going to see bugger all of the bottom teeth, like the front of them. So it might just be like a tiny little indication here. And this is where 3D models come in super handy. And we could continue to finesse. We might actually see a little bit more of that gap. We could color this in a little bit just for our sake. This thing here is going to be in front, so we're in front. This is in front. This is behind. This is behind. Right, this whole shape is behind this shape. Right, not bad for imagination. Not the best, not the worst. Could do with a bit of finessing, but yes, the subtleties with the foreshortening, because you might want to like put the jaw down here and then almost make it bigger, like stretch it out. Doesn't work out if we're trying to get like a more accurate hinge, let's say. Me, you reckon always drawing with ref is better, or being able to draw? Oh my god, this coffee, I tell you what. Or being able to draw kind of from imagination. I feel like ref can be limiting, but without it, something messes up. That's why we're doing kind of like a hybrid here. We're kind of doing a bit of both, right? I do have references here, like this does not equal that reference over there, but from our previous warm-ups, we can reverse engineer and do like a hybrid between using reference and not. So yeah, I reckon both is great, because you need to know what you want to draw as well, or like what you're drawing, like understand it. At least I like to. I think this could even be more like that. Yeah, cool. All right. What shall we do next? Artistic, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Poncho, skull studies were the thing that improved my heads the most. After that, muscles and eventually fat pads. That's a very good process of things. Skull, muscles, fat pads. Fantastic. Nah, me too. That's why I always just do skull studies, just because. Lana. Oh, you want to... All right, let's see if we can put a cap on the skull. We're skull-centric today. All right, let's do a cheeky little 3/4. Okay. You'll see why simplifying the shapes down is going to be so much easier for you. And you'll notice I started with a jaw this time. Sometimes I'd start with the little scuba goggles, you know. Sometimes not. I pick and choose. And it's kind of... This is completely talking out my ass, but it could be seen as like a beneficial way to like start in different areas depending on what you're drawing, so you're not stuck all the time starting at the same... Starting the same with every drawing that you do, or like on the same subject matter. I don't know. Sounds right though. Drew a dog skull. That could be fun, doing some animal skulls. Been recently having issues with eye placement, especially when drawing from a skull. Any advice? Yeah, we can. Let's do it. Let's do a dual cap and eye placement. This is good for my practice as well. So let's just find the nose hole. Still a wider nose hole. Why not? Stylize this dude or lady. Cool. There. All right, we got the base. We've got what we want to. Real big chunky teeth. Almost Neanderthalish. No offense. Okay. Caps. Where is the cap going to be sitting? So if we imagine the ear, let's do it in a different color so we can, or let's knock this right the way back. Okay. So cap is going to wrap around. So this is all going to be covered with muscle and skin and everything. So it's going to be a lot of a smoother transition. Imagine where the ear is going to be, somewhere around here. Let's say. Right behind that jaw. So imagine the cap sitting somewhere about here. Depending on the cap. Is it an A-frame? Is it a flat? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Now this is the tricky part. The actual cap bit. Right? So you want to... And it really depends on the cap. This is where reference can come in. But I like to get that first understanding of how far is it coming out. All right, where is it? Like here. So it might start here. So this is as if there's no peak. Okay, then we're going to add the peak. We've got to keep them in our head where this... What's the word for it? Not the apex, but the joining part of the peak is. right? So this we're not actually going to see. So we can imagine coming out this far. That's as far as we want to go. We can match that to somewhere around thereabouts of where the other side of the cap is going to be. Do our best to connect them. We could do it very square to begin with, right? And then curve it down and around, and then find where that other connection point is. So we think of it like a piece of paper, just like folding. So then this is in shadow. And because we've understood the skull underneath, we can see whereabouts that cap is going to be coming out of the other side of the head. Find the center line. Now this is if the cap is directly perfectly on the head, but just for demonstration purposes, it'll do. Right, and then you got the little, whatever these things. Right. Now, eye placement. Where do we throw these eyes? We got the eye sockets here. That's a good start. I like to think of them sitting inside. It depends how big the eyes are. They could be quite small. They could be quite large. Somewhere around here. Now we're going to imagine it on the other side as well. Looks kind of weird, right? For sure. Looks really weird. I appreciate it, but yeah, that's what I love, the 3D-ness of stuff. So we're drawing through stuff. You probably heard about that, drawing through things. And Ryan, adjust the eye infinitely. Hopefully this will help. So when we're placing the eye in the eye socket, we can then put the iris, imagine the other eye. And if we're thinking really, really like technically, this eye, because it's slightly, this is going to be like behind this eye, it's going to be slightly a bit smaller, but it's not going to be too much of a big deal. But we can imagine the eyes both looking at us, right? Looks creepy at the moment for sure, but if we take into account, let's just do that, and then we start drawing in the features of the eye. All right, so we got the lashes, and it'll start to very quickly come together. All right, so the upper lid and the upper lid of the other eye. All right, imagining that we've now got skin. Okay, so this cheekbone is going to connect down to here. It's not going to tuck underneath like we've got it at the moment because it's a skull. It's going to come down. We're going to have a nose, so we can maybe do this kind of nose here. Right, I mean, it looks kind of crazy at the moment. Let's adjust that nose. Maybe it comes too far out. Well, we have a bit of a character to the nose. A little bit of a bump there. Only seeing a tiny bit of that far eye. Right, we can build on top here. Imagine the lips wrapping around the bottom lip. And I didn't have any idea of what this head was going to turn out like, right? It's all as we go, we're building it. And then you can adjust as you go. Right, if we start removing some of the skull information, then we start to get a dude. And then we think about where the neck is. Give him a little bit of a bottom lid. We still know that there's a plane here, so we can kind of block that in. Find that center line where the nose connects. We already know that with the skull. So we can say the skull connects like kind of like here where the nose kind of tucks in. Whip it back out the top lip or the upper lip, bottom lip. Right, and this is how you could reverse engineer, let's say. And then you can make adjustments. But at least it gives you a starting place for where some of the features might sit, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Thomas, just to know which days of the week you make your streams. I love watching them. Appreciate you, Thomas. This day, every week. My hat still looks weird, but I'm going to work on it. Thank you. No worries, Lana. Caps are tricky, and this is a very stock standard kind of cap. But as soon as he tilts his head, then you get a whole other thing, but the principles still are the same. All right. Me, I love how bold you are with your shapes. Thank you. Add muscles and skin around it very quickly. Yeah, that's it. Poncho, you can try drawing the curve or the eyelids in segments of straight line. Yeah, you can do that as well. You can do the eyes however you wish. All right, we can change the nose completely. So now it's just more of a straighter nose. All right, give him a little bit of personality with some, I don't know, I like putting moles and stuff on characters. So also he might have his hair here or something like that, you know? Let's have this lip poke out a little bit from the silhouette. Or maybe not. But this is why it's so beneficial. I love understanding the skull. Cool. Hopefully that helped. Does your PC lag when using wide brushes? Yes, it does. All right. do we try doing some more stylized skulls? So let's like stretch them out. Let's see if we can do like a real stretched out. Principles still hold. We're just stretching out the shapes. So the scuba goggles are going to be a little bit larger. That cylinder's still there. The mandible still there, but just more stretchy. Yeah, did fantastic. Hassan, you have any course recommendation for stylized sketching? Stylized sketching in particular? There is one on Schoolism. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it, but I think it's gesture. There's like you can see it looks like you see like the sketch of like gestural figures and stuff. That was pretty good. Do you often compare your early work to what you create now? Oh yeah, I hate my early work. I mean, and early work is like a year ago. Like not a fan. I look back on some of it, I'm just like, ugh. What an amateur. And it's kind of a good thing. That means I'm not just like, oh, I'm done. Like, I know how to do stuff, you know. Always changing, always updating my tastes, my skill levels. Okay. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. What's the word? Better. No. More as if this was a brush pen or a fountain pen. So we've really got to think about our line work. So let's go to our brush settings. Show me my brush settings. Brush settings. Here. Brush settings. Shape dynamics. Let's transfer nothing. Is that going to give us... Yeah. So let's lay these lines down as if they're permanent. But Ryan, give you 6.5 on that one. Not bad. So you've been drawing for like 2 years or so? No, I've been drawing on and off for most of my life. Doing the stylized stuff for about 2 years. Alright, so let's actually give ourselves some more pixels. Bloody hell. Let's come here. Whip up the scale a little bit. Let's go up here. Oh yes, come back. There we go. Kentas, how you doing? All right, let's think. Really thinking about the line work here. So this is a little bit slower, not as like bam, 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 bam. Thinking about the thickness of things. Alright, so I put a bit of thickness on that nose. Come through here. Just taking our time, thinking about the connection points, things that are in front and behind. Here. Now, how this is a big question mark at the moment, this whole section. How do we make this feel nice? Also been playing around with like hatching, like in the traditional, with the traditional stuff. I appreciate it, George. I look at older work as a necessary stepping stone, so while I could cringe at it, it is often interesting to see the choices I use to make and might do differently now. Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a learning experience, but still doesn't stop the cringe. But it's good, you know? Using some of those techniques I have talked about in previous videos about the line work, what's in front and what's behind. Alright, so this is a nice little T line in here. This is going to be a nice little T line here. Teeth going back. Not too late to change them and refrain from being slaves to the vices that encage them. I'm writing on this page like I'm throwing hands with Satan. Don't run from all those demons, gotta stand your ground and face them. Sometimes you break, but through destruction comes a renovation. We all just trying to build a foundation. And a little bit more detailed, let's say with the teeth, not super detailed, but enough to make it interesting. And there was something that Rembert actually said. Rembert Montold, if you don't know him, go check him out. That the details, like if you're making mistakes with the line work, the more details that you can put, like the little indications, or the way that I like to think about it, how you're explaining the form to the viewer, the more of those little things, it can often hide or disguise some of the inaccuracies. Like, hopefully I'll show you what I mean as I go on with this one. Posture check. All you shrimpies out there, let's straighten it up. Little reminder. Let's get this mandible. even see a little bit more of this here. Bottom teeth, going to be quite hidden from the top because we're kind of looking on top here. Have you ever been in a point where the art you make doesn't turn out as good as you... Oh, Hassan, all the bloody time. All the time. That's part of the game. Something I've had in my head from a friend. Make assumption of detail if it's not an important part. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Even so, these little indications here, like the whisper lines, I guess you could say, like how I've described them in the past. They are really, really helpful. This is a creepy looking dude, I tell you what. But I think it's just because it's a skull. And it's a weird shape. Like I was looking up chat, help me out here. Line work, inking, Frankenstein, very, very good. Older, but not super old. Lines like this everywhere, but it looks like light and shadow. Somethingson, Wrightson, right? Yeah, I can't remember. But I was doing little experiments with line work. Bernie Wrightson, buddy Poncho, good on ya. So trying to understand how, again, back to the cube. What are you gonna do? How do I get this with line work to feel like light and shadow? One thing that I've seen that I was like studying from him was, okay, you got your lines here, they're not gonna be perfect. What are you gonna do? And this looks a lot better when it's traditional. All right, but let's say, okay, this is a little bit lighter, so you're gonna do less lines. And he did these nice little gaps in between some of his lines, and they're like at a different angle, which is nice. I've been doing a few of these studies, but then you've got these cast shadow lines, which is, yep, cool, pretty straightforward. But what I saw that he'd do, like if we were going to try and make this look even more lit, but still use the line work, he would, like, basically this area in here is going to be darker. If we were shading this in, this is going to be darker because there's less bounce light. Right here is actually going to be quite a bit brighter because there's bounce light coming back up from this plane. But what he would do is he would just go over some of these lines that he's already done to help give some of that illusion. Now, this would help if it wasn't like 6 pixels wide. All right, but hopefully you thicken up some of these. All right, even within the shadow itself. And it can start to really like subtly give that illusion of bounce light, but with line. So playing around with the line width within the individual lines themselves is like really like was kind of like a little aha moment for me. I don't even know if that reads, but you can even start to see a little bit. And he would connect the lines sometimes as well. Like he might even connect some of these up. It's just like a cool technique that I was playing around with that I quite liked. All right, and then you can bring this into your own context with like your own characters and whatever. If you want more of like the line work kind of vibe. Yeah, it's just something that popped into my head. You picking up what I'm putting down? Bloody good stuff, George. Poncho, one thing I admire about your work, Ben, is the attention you give to sculpting form with various light cues and qualities, something I'm sensitive to from a product photography background. Oh, fantastic. Nice one. Yeah, something I love. I love light and shadow. How do you deal with it? I'm interested because when it happens to me, it really demotivates me. Yeah. It used to affect me a lot more when I was younger. Like I used to get very, very frustrated. But one thing that I found was like, it probably sounds trite, but I needed more study in certain areas. Like either more study or more time working on a separate thing or on a particular thing. Like there was this internal thought that I should already know how to draw this thing, and why isn't it working out, right? Like when I started to first do stylized stuff, I was like, well, why can't I do this? This is so frustrating. But that logically doesn't make sense because I've never drawn it before, right? So it's like, how can I expect myself to know how to do it if I've haven't put the time in, and two, haven't really done much focused study on the subject matter or the type of thing that I'm doing, you know? So you got to give yourself a little bit of like track back and start to think a little bit logically. If you get yourself into that mindset, take a break, because just hammering down on stuff when you're in that mindset, I don't think helps. But just know it's part of the process, honestly. Like it sucks, very annoying, very frustrating, but it's just kind of like, yeah. And then you get to the point where it's like, all right, there's an ugly stage to drawing sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes, right? There's that in-between stage where it just isn't looking quite right. Like what you envisioned is just not gelling. Just know it's part of the process. I drew a hat with a Ben in it. I like that. I'm inside. Oh, I'm in the hat. The hat's not on me. Not my best work. Next time, Ben, you got to give me more of a blue steel. Okay, I can do that. I can turn that on. I can do the 3/4. Take a screenshot of that. And there you go. Chris, how you doing? I love the idea of making thicker lines when they're closer to the camera viewer. Yeah, I like the thicker lines, particularly when things overlap as well. So like maybe, like if there's a cube floating here, I like cubes. What are you gonna do? All right, even leaving a gap here is nice, depending on how far away it is. Right? Then you can do the same thing, but just on a lighter scale. So then that really pushes that back in space, which is quite nice. Now here's where I get into trouble a lot of the times, is this area right here. How does that, there's like a hole here, how does that connect to this? Right. And then we can come back to our reference. How does this guy's holes connect? So we can take some cues from here. Bit of a personal question. Here, here. Which makes it look a little bit more naturalistic, I guess. So there's a whole bunch of overlapping stuff here. Now this is like the kind of rabbit hole I go down. Am I going to do anything with this sketch? Probably not. Right, but it's like the learning is the fun part. So we can come here. This is in front of everything, so this line carries on through here. And then this one kind of peters out. It's just kind of like, meow. And then there's that there. And then we'll wrap this up with throwing a character over the top. See who this person is. Let's discover it. I don't know what it's going to look like, who they are, what they're all about, but we're going to find out. And while I do that, you know the drill. Plugs, as always. If you like this stylized stuff, check out my 8-hour 10-chapter walkthrough tutorial available right now. Links in the description. You also get a 40-page PDF field guide and some 3D models to go along with it. Working on currently a full course platform that'll be chock-a-block full of courses of myself and potentially others. And if you're a content creator, I'm building this with my friend Francis, and it's exactly how I would like course platforms to work, basically. So if you're frustrated with one that you're using at the moment, or you want to check out something a bit different, flick us a message. We're going to be opening beta trials soon, so you can go check that out. Filthy plugin, shout out. You want to whip in those shapes like it's nothing, like you're not even, like, who cares? Just do it. Fill it. You've got that option as well. Links in the description. And that's about it for plugs, I reckon. Go for it, Lana. All right, let's see if we can find. I think I've made this nose bridge too large, but let's roll with it. What it is, what it is. Maybe he's just got a schnoz on him, you know. Now, I always get confused about where the mouth is in comparison to the teeth. Sometimes, like the mouth, I think, is actually... It's like above the... At least mine. Is like sits just above the top teeth. Or like your upper teeth. Do you have a phone next to the mic? I do. Get out of here. Oh no, that might just be the mic also, because yeah, for whatever it's this area. I've talked about it many a time. This area just loves to throw in some static every now and then. It's so fun when I'm recording as well. Oh, catch you later, Juanita. Thank you for popping in. All right, let's give this guy some ears. Or just an ear. We're going to find out who you are. Who are you? What's he all about? MHQ, how you doing? This part is for someone who asked for how to draw. Ah, true. There you go. There you go. Good call. All right. So let's figure this out. So this is a stylized nose. How do I want this nose to be? It's tricky because he's got a big hole. Let's find... the bottom plane. Like, where's this nose stop? We can just do some tests. So maybe his nose stops here and then comes back. Maybe this is his nose. Something like that, maybe. Now we've got to make sure that we take this into account. We don't necessarily want to, unless he's quite gaunt, which could work, you know, do this like kind of tuck in, which could work. But here is going to be connected. We don't want to necessarily go all the way in unless we're being super stylized and super like, maybe he's like a bad guy. So we give him more like angular features. Yeah, maybe he's a bad guy. So because even though we've got the holes of the sockets here, there's going to be muscles that are going to be whipping all around it. Right, it's not... We don't have to keep to the structure. There's going to be so much stuff happening muscles-wise. Hey Ben, are Aussie diseases as terrifying as the common wildlife in the land down under? Jeez, I don't know. Aussie disease? I don't even know of a specific Australian disease. I couldn't tell you. Maybe if you stay here for a bit too long, you start picking up the accent. Some people could call that a disease. Yeah, so this guy. So even though we've got the skull there, there's going to be skin over the top, so we don't necessarily want to not take that into account. Hey Ben, just wanted to say your line weight controller. So, thank you so much. Christian freaking knee. Which feature do you find most interesting on the face? Oh, all of them. They're great. How you doing, Christian? Hope all is well. A handsome bodyguard. There you go. Could be. Yeah, we could give him like full muscles. So he's like, he is gaunt, but also has muscularity. Almost looks like, yeah, it does. It does. It does. So let's find it going back and forth between the two sides of the nose to find the other side, right? Now, because we understand the teeth, we can maybe do a bit of a smile. So he's showing a bit of his chompers. So, oh, it doesn't really make sense because his mouth's closed, so maybe not. Let's just do it. And you can make him look like almost have kind of that underbite, even though we've drawn it like he doesn't underneath. We can just do more of this kind of vibe. Where he's kind of like that kind of deal. That would probably overlap here. Let's quickly color in the eyes, which gives him character straight away. The brows, maybe he's got like big bushy boys. Oh, no, I feel like he's more of like a thin brow kind of dude. Let's give him even more of like a manic. And maybe because he's seen some stuff, or he doesn't mind a good fight, this guy. Got a bit of that nose. Oh no, that looks a bit silly. Mustafa, what's going on? Do they have drive-ins in Australia, like when you watch a movie in your car? Yeah, they used to. They used to. They're kind of all closing up. I'm sure they do somewhere in Australia still, but yeah, there might be. No, I don't think we have one here anymore. Yeah, we used to. Alright, got to figure this out. This part, we got the nose, cool. Yep. Find the other side of the nose, yep. Cool. Now how does this? So it goes here. bit of that jowl. I don't like how close that is, so I'm just going to cut that in. And to match the other side, we probably want to make sure that the gauntness of this side carries over here. We can bring back our skull to figure out where that might be. Because some people just have that really sucked in sort of look. From what I learned from the internet, I think I'll freak out if I see a giant snake, spider or snake in Australia. Ah, the giant spiders, they're fine. Nothing wrong with a big old, like a big huntsman. They're not, they're fine. I'll just flick them away, they're fine. They're not going to hurt you. It's the little snakes that you got to be afraid of. You got a little brown snake, very deadly, and because they're babies, they don't know how to regulate their venom if they bite you, so they'll just like pump and pump and pump and pump. So yeah, stay away from the little snakes. Yeah, they were fun, weren't they? Team Fortress 2 is one of my favorite games. Style is very charming to this day. Your art gives me some of those vibes. Thank you. Yeah, no, I do like that art style. I always forget to add muscles when I start from a sculpt. Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. So if we wanted to actually make this a little bit more accurate to what we've made with our character, like that kind of underbite, I would adjust these teeth to have the bottom teeth be more visible, like a lot more visible. And kind of overlap those upper teeth. Right, so this gives the more of a vibe of what this character is now, just from the teeth and the jaw placement. Maybe he's like a boxer. Yeah, that's cool. It's a good little exercise to kind of discover, like, what is this cat? Like, who is this that I've just created this skull? Ben, you could do creature designs there, and I like how he. Oh, thank you. Yeah, creature designs is something I like to play around with. Definitely. Maybe I'll do like tiny little glasses. Or maybe come out here, goes out here. Like these ultra thin little boys. There. No, I like the circle glasses. Tiny little. Maybe it's those. It's like those Neo ones that they're just like little clip-ons that stay there. I like it. And I feel like he would have like a chain now for some reason. Anyway, we could just keep going and going and going. Just have some fun. But there you go. Hopefully that was a bit of a laugh, a bit of fun, learning something as well. Quick recap. With Skull City over here. So started off with the profile, went on to front view, and then started branching off into different angles, challenging ourselves with whoa, with like harder angles here. Still looks a little wonky, but that's all right. Thinking about the overlapping shapes, one in front of another. Right, hinged a jaw in a difficult angle. Found out a character from a skull. Did some hat stuff. Did a bit of the eye stuff, and then yeah, really stylized the skull and ended up with this dude. Good fun. And with that said, I want to say thank you very much for popping in as always. Streams are happening every week. Monday, Australian Central Daylight Time, 10:45. Sunday, 4:30 PST. I think, I'm pretty sure. Around that time, I post when it's happening, but it's every week, weekly. Thank you for the new people popping in. Thank you for the new people popping in that went in chat and not in chat. Thank you for you guys that have never talked in chat. Thanks for just hanging out. It's good fun. I look forward to these every week. Thank you, George, Marlon, Lana, Poncho, Ryan, Artistic. Being Australian means you have access to live monster references from giant spider, flying foxes to magpies. True. Yeah, magpies, they can swoop you. They can get gnarly if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. All right. I will say thank you. And I will see you next week. Same time. Stylized art study. Learning some stuff. Figuring some stuff out. You have a great rest of your week. Toodaloo. Got too many tabs open.